harms your case, whereas the prior statement helps your case. The goal here is to get the witness back to the previous version. I care about the evidence. I need to get it back to the previous version, and I can't live with what he said in examination in chief. So let's have another example. In direct examination, he said waist up. His report said shoulders up. And I care about waist up. I care about waist up a lot. I care about this evidence because if you can only see him from the shoulders up, it wouldn't have been possible for him to see any transaction. He couldn't have seen the money, he couldn't have seen the ball. So I can't live with the witness saying waist up. I need to get it back to that report of shoulders up. So in this case, the impeachment works a little bit differently. You would start out the same way with crediting the exact same thing. I won't go forward. Matters June 12th, year ago. You credit exactly the same. You credit ad nauseum. You credit fully. You do not confirm when you're impeaching the evidence. You do not confirm what he said in examination in chief when you're impeaching the evidence. You do not repeat the evidence in examination in chief. You do not repeat the evidence you can't live with. You go right to correct or contrast. So again, I just credited his investigative report, how good it is. So now I don't confirm, I go right to correct. Now, in your detailed and accurate report, you note that you can see Watkins from the shoulders up. And in fact, you can only see Watkins from the shoulders up.
That's right.
Okay. Now, at that point, I've got him back to where I want him. I've got him back to the evidence I want. You can only see him from the shoulders up. I might go a little farther. And you can only see him from the shoulders up because of the obstruction caused by the advertising in the window.
That's right.
So now I've got the witness where I want the evidence. I've won the point. I've got him now to say you can only see the witness from the shoulders up. I may stop here, I may sit down, or I may go on to contrast. But even if I contrast and go on to the next step, you do not repeat the bad evidence from examination in chief. You do not confirm nor remind the witness what he said in examination in chief. You don't remind the trier of fact of what the witness said in examination in chief. So even if I'm going to go on, which I may or may not do, you don't go back or mention examination in chief. So if I'm going to contrast, it would be something like this. So that's not what you told us in direct examination, is it?
No.
Okay, so even if I say that, I'm not referencing what he said in examination chief. I'm just saying it was something different. So in fact, you could not see Watkins from the waist up.
Correct.
Okay, and again, I'm not going back and reminding him and reminding the judge and reminding the jury that he'd already said that he could see from the waist up. Why don't I go back? It doesn't help my case. I'm not going to mention it in my closing. I don't want to repeat or sponsor bad evidence. So even when you contrast, you don't go back to examination in chief. So just to recap, when you are impeaching the evidence, you credit fully, you credit as much as you can, you do not confirm, you correct, you may or may not contrast. So you credit the report, you correct the evidence, i.e. you get it to go back to the report, to the evidence you need. You may go on to contrast, but you do not go back and ever mention what he said in examination in chief. So the strategy for impeaching the evidence, that's when you care about the evidence. You can't live with the examination in chief. You need to get it back to the prior statement. You credit, you correct, you may contrast, you do not confirm the evidence he gave in examination. There's one other approach I'm going to talk to you about. Sometimes, if you don't even take the witness to the statement, you can just cross-examine it on it. So you can just say, you only could see him from the shoulders up.
Yeah, that's true.
So if he actually agrees with your ultimate conclusion, you don't need to impeach, you just move on. You can stop at that point in time. There are different approaches to impeachment that exist. They could be effective in different situations. Some litigators will start by confirming the evidence given on direct examination, even if they're impeaching the evidence and when they're impeaching the credibility. I don't recommend it. I recommend the model that we've done. And I can just again say, if you follow this model, you'll never run into trouble. So again, the impeachment strategy, the 3 C's: credit, confirm, contrast. You have to decide the basis of your impeachment. Are you impeaching the witness's credibility, i.e., you don't care about the evidence? Are you impeaching the evidence? I need to get it back to the prior report. And remember, it's cross-examination, leading questions, one fact, one question, tell, don't ask. You have to, as I said earlier, not only decide why you're impeaching before you get up, you have to do a great deal of preparation. Preparation is the key to effective impeachment. You must know, to conduct a proper impeachment, everything the witness has ever said. You've got to be familiar with every note, every statement, every email. And further, you have to almost take, you have to take verbatim notes of what they said in examination in chief. A practice point person, when I get up to cross-examine, I have a file on every single witness of everything they've said, everything I could even potentially have to impeach on. I have copies for everyone, the judge, the Crown, the court reporter. The last thing you want to do is be scampering around and looking in your file for that one email that you think you might want to impeach with. If you organize it in one file, you look like the most organized lawyer in the world, even if you're not. More often than not, you're going to have more than one impeachment with the witness. And you have to decide again, do you want to impeach the evidence first, or do you want to impeach the credibility first? Personally, I tend to impeach on the evidence first. Why? Generally speaking, once you start to call a witness a liar or something like that, they're not really going to be very helpful. Whereas if you impeach on the evidence, you just take them back to their earlier statement, it's not as confrontational, it's not kind of that dramatic effect. Quite often, especially as a criminal lawyer, the only evidence I can get out to impeach a witness, to get the evidence I want is from that impeaching of that one witness, that one cop, for example. So I tend personally to impeach the evidence first and then to go after the credibility. So in summary, when you're impeaching the evidence, when I care about the evidence, I need to get the witness back to their original evidence. Do I credit? Do I credit?
Yes.
Do I confirm?
Yes.
Do I contrast? Do I correct? I'm not laughing much. When I'm impeaching the witness, I only care about credibility. I couldn't care less about the evidence. Do I credit?
Yes.
Do I confirm?
Yes.
Do I contrast?
Yes.
This is the how I recommend it. Other lawyers may recommend different strategies, but I can tell you if you use this one, it's kind of the easiest way and you'll never run into trouble. Sorry, that's the end.
We've got about 1 or 2 minutes. I just want to give Justice Nakatsura any quick comments on it, and I'll also ask the same from Pat Van, whether there's anything you noticed about it.
I just have a couple of observations. First of all, I don't think I've ever seen a more compliant witness on the impeachment exercise than Pat Van. Secondly, in my group, if you're that compliant as a witness, going to kick you out of my group. You got to keep this a little bit interesting tomorrow. So when you're doing the impeachment, put up a little bit of resistance, okay? More substantively, a couple of quick points. Impeachment is an exercise that you have to learn quickly and have under your belt. You can't simply do a preparation because you don't necessarily know, in most cases, when the impeachment exercise has to be done. So you have to think on the fly. So the best way, as Jonathan said, is make it simple. Practice, practice, practice so that you can do it almost in your sleep. The second and final observation I have is something that Gary Watson, if he was here, would often say during this impeachment exercise. Because there's such a big buildup, and everybody in that courtroom knows the buildup, who's ever practiced in the courtroom, that this is an impeachment coming up. Go for the jugular, don't go for the capillary, right? So if you have a tiny little minor inconsistency in there, you do this buildup, and then you just do a little tiny little cut to the witness. You know, everybody will say, what was that all about, right? So make sure you pick and choose. You may not have the option tomorrow, but in real life, pick and choose what you want to impeach, whether it's to actually impeach the witness, or as Jonathan said, impeach the evidence. Because at the end of the day, if you just go for that tiny little vein or capillary, nobody's going to be impressed. If that's all you've got, leave it alone. Go on to something else.
Thanks, Sean. Pat, any final word?
No, I just can't believe I submitted to that again.
It's probably the same here.
Promise leaving
Jonathan pays Pat well. Okay, tomorrow we are going to start with impeachment and then carry into directed cross. And of course, the directed cross, particularly the cross, are opportunities to continue to practice impeachment throughout the day. And then we will end with brainstorming on Cooperman experts to set us up for Wednesday's expert examination. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night. We'll see you in the morning.